A waitress brought breakfast to a homeless old man every morning, thinking she was just being kind. Every day he thanked her with tears in his eyes. Every day he watched her face like he was memorizing something precious. She thought he was just grateful. She had no idea he was protecting a secret that could destroy everything she'd built. Before we continue into this incredible story, we wish you a prosperous 2026. May every line fall perfectly into place for you in all your endeavors throughout 2026. Let us know where you're watching from in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Do stories like this touch your heart? Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. You're about to hear a story that will stay with you long after it ends, and tomorrow I have something truly special waiting for you. Then one morning the entire street shuts down. Police sirens echo through the dawn. Security floods the block and 50 black SUVs roll in like an army. The quiet homeless man isn't what he seems. And the son stepping out of the lead vehicle? He's a billionaire CEO with a truth that's been buried for 30 years. Because this waitress has been serving breakfast to the one person who could take her daughter away forever. And now that the son has found his father, he's coming for what he believes is rightfully his. The old man has been hiding in plain sight, watching, waiting, protecting. But some secrets are too big to stay buried, and some truths destroy families before they can heal them. So when kindness uncovers a deception this massive, will this revelation save a broken family or will it shatter the only home a little girl has ever known? I'd love to know where you're watching from. Type it down below. And while you're here, subscribe so you'll always catch the next story. The pre-dawn darkness still clung to the streets of downtown Portland when Maya Rodriguez pulled her beat-up Honda into the alley behind Chen's diner. 5:30 in the morning, just like every day for the past 3 years. She killed the engine and sat for a moment, watching her breath fog the cold windshield. Another day, she whispered to herself, grabbing her purse and the small lunchbox from the passenger seat. Inside the diner, the familiar smell of coffee and bacon grease greeted her like an old friend. Frank Chen was already at the grill, his spatula moving in practiced rhythm across the sizzling surface. "Morning, Maya," he called without turning around. After 15 years of opening this place at 5 a.m., Frank could identify his employees by the sound of their footsteps alone. "Morning, Frank." Maya tied her apron and moved to the coffee station, starting the first pot of the day. Through the window, she could see the sky beginning to lighten, painting the buildings in shades of gray and purple. "You going to see him again today?" Frank asked, sliding 3 orders of hash browns onto plates. Maya didn't need to ask who. "You know I am." Frank shook his head, but he was smiling. "You've got a heart too big for your own good, girl." "Someone's got to care," Maya said softly, pulling out eggs and bread from the walk-in cooler. While Frank handled the rush of morning regulars, Maya prepared a separate order with careful attention. 2 eggs scrambled soft, not dry. 2 pieces of wheat toast, lightly buttered. A banana. A small container of orange juice. The same meal she'd been making every morning for 8 months now. She wrapped everything in a clean dish towel, placing it carefully in an insulated bag. Frank watched her work, the same concern in his eyes that had been there since the day she started this ritual. "Maya, you don't even know this man." "I know he's hungry, Frank. I know he's alone." "That's enough." The morning rush started just after 6. Construction workers, nurses ending night shifts, early commuters, they all filed through Chen's diner like clockwork. Maya moved between tables with practiced efficiency, pouring coffee, taking orders, delivering food with a smile that never quite reached her eyes. But her mind kept drifting to the alley 3 blocks away. At 7:15, during the brief lull between breakfast rushes, Maya grabbed the insulated bag and slipped out the back door. Frank called after her, 15 minutes, Maya. We've got the office crowd coming." "I'll be quick," she promised. The morning air was cold and damp as she hurried down the familiar route. Past the boarded-up laundromat, around the corner by the pawn shop, through the narrow alley that most people avoided. At the end, tucked behind a dumpster and partially hidden by old cardboard boxes, was where he always waited. Thomas. At least, that's what he'd told her his name was 8 months ago when she first found him there, shivering in a threadbare jacket. "Good morning, Thomas," Maya said softly, kneeling beside him. The old man's eyes opened slowly. They were blue, remarkably clear and bright despite the weathered face around them. When he saw her, those eyes filled with tears, just like they did every single morning. "Angel," he whispered, his voice rough from sleep and cold. "My angel came again. I brought breakfast." Maya unwrapped the bundle, the steam rising from the still warm eggs. "Eat up before it gets cold." Thomas's hands shook as he accepted the food. Not from weakness, Maya had noticed, but from emotion. He always held the bundle like it was something precious, something sacred. "Bless you," he said, tears now running down his weathered cheeks. "Bless you, child." Maya had stopped asking why he cried. The first few times she'd been concerned, thinking the tears were from pain or sorrow. But now she understood they came from somewhere deeper, somewhere she couldn't quite reach with questions. "How are you feeling today?" she asked, pulling out a small first aid kit from her purse. "Let me see that cut on your hand." Thomas extended his hand obediently while he ate with the other. The cut was healing well, she'd cleaned it every day for a week now. As she worked, she noticed him watching her face intently, the way he always did. Studying her features like he was trying to memorize every detail. "You have her eyes," he murmured suddenly. Maya's hands stilled. "Whose eyes?" But Thomas had already retreated into himself, focusing on his breakfast with sudden intensity. This happened sometimes. He'd say something cryptic, then shut down before she could ask more. "Thomas, do you have family somewhere?" Maya asked gently, not for the first time. "Someone I could call?" The old man's grip tightened on the dish towel. "No family. Not anymore. Lost. All lost." His voice broke on the last word. Maya squeezed his shoulder. "You're not lost. I see you. Every day I see you." When Thomas looked up at her again, his expression was so intense it made her uncomfortable. "You don't know," he whispered. "You don't know what you've done. What you've saved." Before Maya could respond, her phone buzzed. Frank's text was terse. "Crowds building. Need you back." "I have to go," she said, gathering the empty containers. "But I'll be back tomorrow, same time. Promise?" "Tomorrow," Thomas repeated, clutching the word like a lifeline. "Always tomorrow. My angel always comes tomorrow." As Maya hurried back to the diner, she didn't see Thomas pull out a small, worn photograph from his jacket pocket. Didn't see him compare the face in the picture to the face of the woman who had just walked away. Didn't see the fresh tears that fell as he whispered, "Just like her. Just like my Elena." That evening after her shift, Maya drove to the small house she shared with her 8-year-old daughter, Sophia. The mortgage was crushing, the roof needed repairs, and the furnace made concerning noises, but it was theirs. The first home she'd ever owned. "Mommy?" Sophia burst through the front door before Maya could even turn off the car, her backpack bouncing against her back. "Hey, baby girl." Maya caught her in a hug, breathing in the strawberry scent of Sophia's shampoo. "How was school?" "I got an A on my math test." Sophia waved the paper triumphantly. "And Mrs. Patterson said my essay about kindness was the best in class." Pride bloomed warm in Maya's chest. "That's my girl. I'm so proud of you." Over dinner, spaghetti with marinara from a jar, Sophia chattered about her day while Maya listened with half her attention. The other half was doing calculations in her head. The electric bill was due. Sophia needed new shoes. The car registration was coming up. And she was already working double shifts at the diner. "Mommy, are you listening?" Sophia's voice broke through her thoughts. "Of course, sweetie. You were telling me about recess." Sophia studied her with those two wise eyes. At 8 years old, she'd already learned to read her mother's worried faces. "We're okay, right? We have enough." Maya's heart clenched. No child should have to worry about money. "We're fine, baby. We always figure it out, don't we?" After tucking Sophia into bed, Maya sat at the kitchen table with a calculator and a stack of bills. No matter how she juggled the numbers, they didn't add up. She needed more hours, another job, something. Her phone buzzed with a text from Frank. "Can you cover Amanda's shift tomorrow? Double time." Maya's fingers hovered over the keyboard. More hours meant less time with Sophia, meant pushing herself closer to exhaustion. But it also meant keeping the lights on, keeping food on the table, keeping their home. "I'll be there," she typed back. She was just about to turn off the light when her phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't Frank. It was a number she didn't recognize. "We know about the old man. We're coming for him. Stay away if you know what's good for you." Maya's blood ran cold. Her hands shook as she read the message again. Who would send this? How did they get her number? She should have been scared for herself. Instead, her first thought was of Thomas, alone in that alley, vulnerable in the dark. Without thinking it through, Maya grabbed her jacket and car keys. Sophia was asleep. She could be back before the girl even stirred. She just needed to make sure Thomas was safe, maybe convince him to go to a shelter for the night. The drive back downtown seemed longer in the dark. The streets that were busy during the day now seemed menacing, full of shadows and potential threats. Maya's heart pounded as she navigated the familiar route to the alley. But when she turned the corner, she froze. The alley was empty. Thomas's usual spot behind the dumpster sat vacant, his cardboard boxes scattered. And on the wall, spray-painted in fresh red paint, were 3 words. "We found him." Maya's phone buzzed again. Another text from the unknown number. "Told you to stay away. Now you're involved. Tomorrow everything changes." Maya barely slept that night. She checked on Sophia a dozen times, made sure all the doors and windows were locked, jumped at every sound. When her alarm went off at 5:30, she felt like she hadn't slept at all. But she went to work anyway because Bills didn't care about mysterious threats or missing homeless men. The morning at Chen's diner started normally. Frank was at the grill, the coffee was brewing, the regulars filed in right on schedule. But Maya couldn't focus. She messed up orders, spilled coffee, forgot to bring a customer's toast. "Maya, you okay?" Frank asked during a brief lull. "You look like you've seen a ghost." She wanted to tell him about the texts, about Thomas being gone, about the ominous message on the wall. But what could she say that wouldn't sound paranoid or crazy? "Just didn't sleep well," she managed. At 7:15, despite everything, Maya found herself preparing Thomas's breakfast. Eggs, toast, banana, orange juice. Maybe he'd be back. Maybe last night was just a coincidence. She grabbed the insulated bag and headed for the alley, her heart pounding with every step. The morning was quiet, too quiet. No construction workers, no delivery trucks, no usual urban noise. When she turned onto Thomas's street, she stopped dead. The entire block was barricaded. Police cars blocked both ends, their lights flashing but silent. Officers in tactical gear stood at attention. And lined up along the street, gleaming in the early morning light, were 50 black SUVs. Not cars. SUVs. Massive, identical, clearly expensive vehicles that looked like they belonged to a presidential motorcade. Maya's phone buzzed. Another text from the unknown number. "Turn around. Walk away. Last warning." But Maya didn't walk away. Something pulled her forward, worry for Thomas overriding her common sense. She approached the nearest police officer, a young woman with sharp eyes. "Excuse me, I'm looking for someone who—" "Ma'am, you need to clear the area." The officer's hand moved to her radio. "This is an active security situation. But there's a homeless man who lives here. His name is Thomas. I bring him breakfast every—" "Ma'am?" The officer's voice was firmer now. "Step back. Now." Before Maya could argue, a commotion erupted at the far end of the block. The SUV's doors opened in perfect synchronization, and men in black suits emerged. But all Maya's attention focused on the figure stepping out of the lead vehicle. He was tall, probably in his mid-30s, wearing a suit that probably cost more than Maya's car. His dark hair was styled perfectly, his jaw square and strong. Even from a distance, he radiated power and authority. And as he walked down the street, Maya noticed something else. Every person in those suits moved with military precision, their eyes scanning constantly. This wasn't just money. This was serious, organized, dangerous money. The man in the lead suit was speaking rapidly into a phone, his free hand gesturing sharply. Maya couldn't hear his words, but his body language screamed urgency and barely controlled emotion. Then she heard a voice. Weak, protesting but unmistakable. "Let me go. I need to see her. She'll come, she always comes." "Thomas." Maya's heart lurched. The crowd of security personnel parted, and she caught a glimpse of the old man she'd been bringing breakfast to for 8 months. But he looked different now. He was clean, wearing new clothes, and was that a wheelchair? "Thomas." Maya shouted without thinking, pushing past the police officer. Everything happened at once. Security personnel turned in her direction. The lead officer moved to intercept her. But the man in the expensive suit held up one hand and everyone froze. He turned slowly, his eyes finding Maya in the crowd. For a long moment he just stared at her, his expression unreadable. Then he spoke, his voice carrying across the street with clear authority. "Let her through." Maya's legs felt like jelly as she walked forward, clutching Thomas's breakfast bag like a shield. The crowd parted, creating a path directly to where Thomas sat in the wheelchair, tears streaming down his weathered face. "Angel," he whispered when she was close enough to hear. "My angel came." "Thomas, what's happening? Who are all these people?" The man in the suit stepped forward, positioning himself between Maya and Thomas. Up close, she could see the resemblance. The same blue eyes, the same strong jawline beneath Thomas's weathered skin. "My name is Christopher Matthews," he said, his voice controlled but tight with emotion. "And this man you've been bringing breakfast to isn't Thomas." He paused, his jaw clenching. "His name is William Matthews. He's my father. And he's been missing for 12 years. Maya felt the world tilt. "Missing?" But he's been right here, I've seen him every day for 8 months, Christopher interrupted. We know. We've been watching. The breakfast bag slipped from Maya's fingers, eggs and toast spilling onto the pavement. Watching? You've been watching him living on the street? How could you? You don't understand. Christopher's control slipped for just a moment, pain flashing across his face. My father disappeared 12 years ago after my mother died. No note, no explanation. We've been searching ever since. Private investigators, police, missing persons databases, everywhere. And he's been here, 3 blocks from one of my company's offices. Maya looked at William, Thomas, the old man whose tears she'd wiped away, whose hands she'd bandaged, who called her angel. Why? She asked him directly. Why hide? William's face crumbled. Couldn't go back. Too much pain. Elena gone and it was my fault. All my fault. Mom's death wasn't your fault, Christopher said, his voice breaking. Dad, we've been over this. The cancer. Could have caught it sooner. William's voice rose, stronger than Maya had ever heard it. Could have insisted she see a doctor earlier, could have noticed the signs. But I was too busy building the empire, making money, expanding the business. And when I finally noticed, it was too late. Maya's mind reeled. Empire? Business? This homeless man eating from a dish towel had an empire? Christopher seemed to read her thoughts. Matthew's Technology. You might have heard of it. My father founded it 40 years ago. It's worth $17 billion. The number was so absurd Maya almost laughed. 17 billion? When Mom died, Dad just disappeared. Left everything. The company, the houses, the money. Walked away from all of it. Christopher looked at his father with a mixture of love and frustration. I've been running everything for 12 years, trying to hold it together, waiting for him to come home. William was crying openly now. Didn't deserve to come home. Didn't deserve anything after failing her. Maya found herself kneeling beside the wheelchair, taking William's shaking hands in hers. Is that why you cried every morning? When I brought you breakfast. You looked like her, William whispered. My Elena. Same eyes, same kind heart. Every morning you came, I saw her again. Remembered what I lost. He squeezed her hands desperately. You saved me. Every day you saved me. Reminded me that kindness still exists, that maybe I wasn't completely unforgivable. Oh, Thomas, William. Maya felt her own tears falling now. You were never unforgivable. Christopher cleared his throat, and when Maya looked up, she saw tears in his eyes too. Ms. Rodriguez. How do you know my name? We've been investigating you for 3 months. The moment we realized someone was regularly feeding Dad, we needed to know who and why. He pulled out his phone, showing her screenshots of her own social media, her employment records, even photos of Sophia. We had to make sure you weren't taking advantage of him. Anger flared hot in Maya's chest. Taking advantage? He's homeless. What could I possibly? You'd be surprised what people do when they think there's money involved. Christopher's voice hardened. But you didn't know who he was. All our surveillance confirmed it. You were just kind. The way he said the word kind, like it was foreign, almost suspicious, made Maya's heart hurt. So what now? She asked. You found him. You're taking him back to your empire or whatever. Why all this? She gestured at the SUVs, the security, the overwhelming display of force. Christopher's expression darkened. Because my father isn't the only one who's been in hiding. When he disappeared, there were certain business interests that assumed he was dead. Interests that have been trying to take control of Matthew's Technology. If they find out he's alive before we can secure everything legally, they'll try to stop us. Or worse, try to hurt him. Hurt him? Maya stood up, instinctively protective. Who would? People motivated by billions of dollars, Ms. Rodriguez. That's why we brought this level of security. Dad is going to testify in front of our board of directors today, establish that he's alive and sound of mind, and transfer certain shares to me officially. Once that's done, he'll be safe. William grabbed Maya's arm with surprising strength. Don't want to go, he said, his voice trembling. Not without her. My angel. Dad, you have to. No. William's shout echoed off the buildings. 12 years I lived in hell, punishing myself. Then she came. Every morning she came. Brought light back. Brought hope back. He looked at Christopher with sudden clarity. She brought me back to life, son. I won't leave her behind. Christopher pinched the bridge of his nose, clearly fighting for patience. Dad, Ms. Rodriguez has her own life. We can't just. Can offer her anything, William interrupted. Job, house, money. Anything she needs. I don't need your money, Maya said quickly, though her mind traitorously flashed to her stack of unpaid bills. I was just being kind, Christopher finished. We know. He studied her for a long moment. But my father's right about one thing. You brought him back when nothing else could. You gave him a reason to keep going. That's worth more than you know. Maya felt overwhelmed, drowning in information and implications. I need to think. I need to pick up my daughter from school, Sophia, William said softly. 8 years old. Loves strawberries. Wants to be a teacher when she grows up. The fact that this man knew details about her daughter should have terrified Maya. Instead, she remembered all those mornings, all those conversations when she told Thomas, William, about her life, her struggles, her dreams for Sophia. He'd been listening, caring, remembering. Christopher's phone buzzed insistently. He glanced at it, his expression tightening. We need to move. The board meeting starts in 2 hours. Not without her, William repeated stubbornly. Dad. Christopher. William's voice carried an authority Maya hadn't heard before. The voice of a man who'd built a $17 billion company. 12 years ago, I walked away because I forgot what mattered. I won't make that mistake again. This woman showed me kindness when she had every reason not to. She fed me, cared for me, treated me like a human being when I was nothing. I won't abandon her. Father and son locked eyes, and Maya saw the complex emotions flowing between them. Love, frustration, pain, hope. Finally, Christopher sighed. What do you want to do, Dad? William turned to Maya, taking her hand gently. Come with us. To the meeting. Let my board see the woman who saved my life. Let them see what real humanity looks like. He squeezed her hand. Please. Maya looked down at the breakfast she'd prepared, now scattered on the pavement. Looked at the man she'd thought was a homeless stranger, now revealed to be a billionaire in hiding. Looked at the 50 SUVs, the security personnel, the sheer absurdity of the situation. And she thought about Sophia, about their struggling household, about all the nights she'd lain awake wondering how to make ends meet. Thought about the medical bills from Sophia's asthma, the leaking roof, the car that wouldn't last another winter. I don't understand what's happening, she said honestly. I don't understand why you hid or why you're coming back now, or what you think I can do at some board meeting. But, she looked at William's tearful, hopeful face. I don't like seeing you cry unless they're happy tears. So yes, I'll come. William's smile was radiant, transforming his weathered face. Happy tears, he promised. From now on, only happy tears. Christopher nodded once, crisp and professional. My assistant will coordinate everything. We'll have someone pick up Sophia from school, bring her to our office. Don't worry, she'll be safe, I promise. And Ms. Rodriguez. He met her eyes directly. Thank you. For taking care of him when I couldn't find him. As Maya was guided into one of the SUVs, the interior was nicer than her entire house. She caught a glimpse of William being carefully transferred into a medical transport vehicle. He waved at her through the window, tears streaming down his face, but he was smiling. Her phone buzzed. A text from the unknown number. Congratulations. You just became the most interesting person in Portland. Don't screw it up. Maya stared at the message, then at the motorcade of black SUVs beginning to move. Through the tinted window, she watched Chen's diner pass by, saw Frank standing in the doorway with his mouth hanging open. She had absolutely no idea what she'd just agreed to. But as the convoy headed toward whatever came next, Maya found herself thinking about William's words. You saved me. Maybe, just maybe, he'd saved her too. She just didn't know it yet. The Matthews Technology Building was a gleaming tower of glass and steel, dominating the Portland skyline. Maya had passed it 1,000 times on the bus, never imagining she'd be inside, let alone arriving in a motorcade that looked like it belonged to the president. Christopher had explained everything during the ride, his words precise and rapid. The board meeting. The hostile shareholders trying to declare William dead and seize control. The legal battles that had raged for years. The relief and triumph of finally finding his father alive. But why now? Maya had asked. Why come back after 12 years? William, sitting across from her in the luxury vehicle, had given her a look of profound sadness and hope mixed together. Because you taught me that kindness isn't earned, it's given. My Elena knew that. I forgot it when she died. But every morning you reminded me. Made me think maybe I deserved to live again. Now, standing in the lobby of Matthews Technology, Maya felt completely out of place in her diner uniform, her practical shoes, her hair still smelling faintly of coffee and bacon grease. Around her, people in expensive suits hurried past, some stopping to stare at the spectacle of William Matthews being wheeled through the lobby he'd designed 40 years ago. A young woman with a tablet approached Maya. "Ms. Rodriguez? I'm Jennifer, Mr. Matthews' executive assistant. Sophia is already upstairs in the family lounge. She's been given snacks and is watching her favorite show. She's perfectly safe." Maya's motherly instinct screamed at her to run upstairs immediately, to see her daughter with her own eyes. "Can I?" "Of course. I'll take you to her now." The board meeting doesn't start for another hour. The family lounge was on the 40th floor, a comfortable space with plush furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, and, Maya's breath caught, Sophia curled up on a couch watching cartoons, a plate of fancy cookies beside her. "Mommy?" Sophia jumped up, running to her. "Look at this place. And they have the cookies with the chocolate inside, the fancy ones from the store we can't usually afford." Maya held her daughter tight, breathing in the familiar strawberry scent of her hair. "Are you okay, baby? You're not scared?" "Scared?" Sophia pulled back, her eyes bright with excitement. "Mommy, a nice lady picked me up in a car with seats that massage your back. And she said Mr. William wants to meet me, the man you bring breakfast to. Is that why we're here?" "Something like that." Maya cupped Sophia's face. "Listen, baby, this is all very strange and complicated, but—" "The lady said you saved someone's life with kindness," Sophia interrupted. "She said you're a hero." Maya's eyes burned with sudden tears. "I'm not a hero, sweetie. I was just being decent." "Mrs. Patterson says being decent when no one's watching is the truest kind of heroism," Sophia said seriously. "She said most people only help when other people can see them do it." From behind them, William's voice, stronger than Maya had ever heard it. "Your daughter is wise beyond her years." Maya turned to see William being wheeled into the lounge by a nurse, Christopher walking beside them. William looked transformed, clean-shaven, wearing an expensive suit, his white hair neatly trimmed. But his eyes, those bright blue eyes, were still the same. Still filled with tears when he looked at Maya. "You must be Sophia," William said gently, extending a hand to the little girl. "I'm William. Your mother is the reason I'm alive today." Sophia shook his hand solemnly. "Mommy says helping people is our duty, not a favor. That's why she brings you breakfast every day." William's face crumpled and he began to cry, those same tears Maya had seen every morning. But this time when Sophia looked concerned, he smiled through them. "Happy tears," he explained. "Because your mother taught an old fool that he deserved to live again." Christopher checked his watch. "Dad, we need to prep for the board meeting. Ms. Rodriguez, you're welcome to wait here with Sophia or—" "She comes with me," William interrupted firmly. "Both of them." "Dad, a board meeting is no place for a child." "I said both of them." William's voice carried that unmistakable authority again. "These people need to see where I've been. Who saved me. What real human kindness looks like when there's no cameras, no recognition, no reward. Let them see the woman who fed a homeless stranger every day for 8 months, never knowing who he was." Christopher started to protest, then seemed to recognize the determination in his father's eyes. "Fine. But they stay in the gallery, not at the table." The boardroom was enormous, with a table that could seat 30 people and windows offering a panoramic view of Portland. Already assembled were men and women in expensive suits, their expressions ranging from shock to suspicion to barely concealed hostility. Maya held Sophia's hand as they were directed to seats in the observation gallery, elevated above the main floor. From here they could see everything but weren't part of the proceedings. "Look, Mommy," Sophia whispered, pointing at the window. "We can see our house from here. That tiny blue roof, that's us." Maya squeezed her daughter's hand, overwhelmed by the contrast. Their small, struggling home visible from this tower of wealth and power. The meeting began with Christopher calling it to order. The room fell silent as all eyes turned to the head of the table, where William Matthews sat, backed by what appeared to be an entire legal team. "Ladies and gentlemen," Christopher began, his voice ringing with barely suppressed emotion, "I present to you William Matthews, founder and primary shareholder of Matthews Technology, whom many of you declared dead 6 years ago." The room erupted. Voices overlapped, some angry, some shocked. A woman in her 50s stood up, slamming her hand on the table. "This is absurd. We followed proper procedures. Legal documentation. You can't just waltz back in after 12 years and—" "Mary Ann." William's voice cut through the chaos like a knife. Every person in the room froze. Even Maya felt the power of it, the command of a man who'd built an empire from nothing. "I'm very much alive. My son has the medical records, the legal certifications, and the police reports confirming my identity. This meeting is to formally establish my return and to execute long-prepared legal documents. Another board member, a man with silver hair and a face like granite, leaned forward. William, with all due respect, you abandoned this company. You left your responsibilities, your shareholders, your employees. You can't simply return and expect. I expect nothing, William interrupted. I'm here to make things right. To explain where I've been and why. The room fell silent. Christopher projected an image on the screen at the front of the room, a photo of a woman with warm eyes and a gentle smile. Maya's breath caught. The resemblance to herself was uncanny. My wife, Elena, William said softly. Some of you knew her. Most of you profited from the company she helped me build. When she died 12 years ago, I broke. His voice cracked. I forgot everything that mattered. Forgot why we built this company in the first place. Elena always said business was about people, not profit. But I forgot that. Got so focused on growth and expansion that I didn't see the signs of her cancer until it was too late. Maya saw Christopher's hands clench on the table, his jaw tight. This was his mother they were discussing, his loss too. When she died, William continued, I couldn't stay in the world we'd built together. Every room of our house reminded me of her. Every board meeting, every business decision. I could hear her voice telling me what she'd do, how she'd choose people over profit every time. And I couldn't bear it. So I ran. He paused, gathering himself. I gave up everything. Walked away with nothing. Lived on the streets of this city for 12 years, punishing myself for failing the only person who ever truly mattered. The hostile board member, Marianne, spoke up again, her voice softer now. William, we understand grief. But you can't just. I'm not asking to come back, William said firmly. I'm here to execute my succession plan as outlined in the original founding documents. Christopher has been running this company magnificently for 12 years. He deserves to lead it officially. I'm here to make that legal, to transfer my shares to him, and to establish a foundation in Elena's name. Christopher looked up sharply. Dad, you never mentioned a foundation. William smiled, and Maya saw the same expression he'd worn in the alley when she brought him breakfast. The Elena Matthews Foundation for Human Kindness. Dedicated to helping those experiencing homelessness, to supporting caregivers, to recognizing and rewarding people who show extraordinary compassion without expectation of reward. His eyes found Maya in the gallery. And I'd like the first recipient of the Foundation's Lifetime Support Award to be Ms. Maya Rodriguez and her daughter Sophia. For 8 months this woman brought me breakfast, fed me, bandaged my wounds, treated me like a human being when I had nothing to offer her. Never knowing who I was, never asking for anything in return. The room's attention shifted to Maya. She felt her face flush as dozens of eyes studied her, judging, evaluating. That's impossible to verify, Marianne said skeptically. How do we know she didn't know who you were? That this isn't some elaborate scheme? Christopher pulled out his phone, projecting images on the screen. Security footage. Maya, in her diner uniform, walking down the alley at 7:15 every morning. Kneeling beside William. Feeding him. Bandaging his hands. Day after day after day. We have 8 months of surveillance, Christopher said coolly. Every morning Ms. Rodriguez brought my father breakfast. In all that time she never photographed him, never told anyone who might publicize it, never asked for anything. When we investigated her, we found a woman working 2 jobs to support her daughter, struggling to pay medical bills and keep their house. She had every reason to exploit this situation. She never did. Maya felt tears burning in her eyes. They'd been watching. 4 months they'd been watching her private acts of kindness, documenting them, studying them. Ms. Rodriguez, William called out to her. Would you come down here, please? Maya's legs felt like water as she stood. Sophia gripped her hand. Can I come too? Yes, William said gently. Both of you. Walking down to the board table felt like walking to judgment. Every face watched them. Maya in her diner uniform, Sophia in her school clothes with a stain on her shirt from lunch. So ordinary. So out of place. William wheeled himself to meet them, taking Maya's hand. This woman, he said to the room, represents everything Elena believed in. Everything I forgot. She showed me that kindness isn't transactional. That human dignity matters more than profit. That one person acting with genuine compassion can save a life. He looked at Maya directly. You saved mine. Not with money or power or connections. With eggs and toast and basic human decency. You reminded me that I was still a person worth caring about, even when I'd convinced myself I wasn't. I was just being kind, Maya whispered, overwhelmed. Exactly. William smiled through his tears. Just kind. No agenda, no angle, no expectation of reward. That's the rarest thing in the world. He turned back to the board. The foundation will be funded with $2 billion from my personal holdings. It will be managed by a trust with Christopher and Ms. Rodriguez as co-directors. Maya's knees buckled. $2 billion? Co-director? I don't know anything about. You know the most important thing, William said firmly. You know how to see people. Really see them. Not their status or wealth but their humanity. That's what this foundation needs. The meeting continued for another 2 hours, lawyers presenting documents, board members asking questions, votes being cast. Maya sat in a daze, Sophia nestled against her side, as her entire life transformed around her. The hostile board member Marianne approached her during a break. Ms. Rodriguez, I apologize for my skepticism. If William believes in you, that's enough for me. Elena would have loved you. By the time the meeting concluded, Christopher Matthews had been formally confirmed as CEO and primary shareholder of Matthews Technology. William had been officially restored to life in the eyes of the company and the law. And Maya Rodriguez, waitress at Chen's Diner, had been named co-director of a $2 billion foundation. As they left the building, William insisted on personally escorting Maya and Sophia to their car. Christopher had offered to have them driven home in one of the SUVs, but Maya had declined. She needed normal, needed familiar, needed to process everything in her own space. I don't understand why, Maya said to William as they stood by her beat-up Honda. Why me? Why this? William looked at her with those clear blue eyes, now bright with tears, happy tears. Because Elena would have done exactly what you did. And because the world needs more people who choose kindness when no one's watching. You did that. Every morning you did that. And it saved my life. He pulled an envelope from his jacket pocket. This is a check for $1 million. For you and Sophia. Not from the foundation, from me personally. For your immediate needs. Maya's hands shook as she took the envelope. $1 million. The number didn't even seem real. I can't. You can. Use it for Sophia's education, for your home, for your dreams. No strings, no conditions. Just a thank you from a man you saved. Sophia tugged on Maya's arm. Mommy, are we rich now? Maya laughed through her tears, pulling her daughter close. I don't know, baby. I don't know what we are now. You're heroes, William said softly. You're exactly what this world needs more of. People who choose kindness over convenience, compassion over comfort. You did that every day thinking no one noticed. But I noticed, and it changed everything. As they drove home, Sophia chattering excitedly about the adventure, Maya kept glancing at the envelope on the passenger seat. $1 million. Plus co-director of a $2 billion foundation. Plus whatever lifetime support meant. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, but she suspected she knew who now. Welcome to your new life. You earned it. And beneath it, another text, this one from Christopher Matthews. Dad's right. You saved his life. Thank you for being kind when it mattered most. Looking forward to working with you at the foundation. Maya pulled into their driveway, looking at their small house with the leaking roof and struggling furnace. Tomorrow she could fix all of that. Tomorrow everything would change. But tonight, she just wanted to hold her daughter and remember the simple truth that had changed both their lives. Kindness, given freely and without expectation, had the power to transform the world. 3 months later, Maya stood in the newly opened Elena Matthews Foundation headquarters, watching as Sophia cut the ribbon on the children's reading room. The building, located in the heart of Portland, offered services for homeless individuals, meals, medical care, job training, and most importantly, dignity. William was there, healthier now but still occasionally using the wheelchair. Christopher stood beside him, and Maya was struck again by how much this family had healed in such a short time. Thank you, William said to Maya, not for the first time. For seeing me when I couldn't see myself. Maya smiled, thinking about those early mornings in the alley, preparing breakfast with no idea who she was feeding. I was just being kind, she said. Exactly, William replied, his eyes bright with happy tears. You were just being kind. And it changed everything. Later, as Maya prepared to leave, she passed a young volunteer preparing breakfast bags for the morning distribution. Eggs, toast, fruit, juice, the same meal she'd brought to William 100 times. The volunteer noticed her watching. Is it true, the young woman asked, that you really just brought breakfast to a homeless man every day? No cameras, no publicity, nothing? It's true, Maya confirmed. Why? Maya thought about Sophia's words, about duty versus favor, about choosing kindness when no one's watching. Because everyone deserves to be seen, she said finally. Everyone deserves to know they matter. The volunteer nodded, carefully wrapping the breakfast bags. I hope I can do that too. Make someone feel seen. Maya smiled. You already are. As she drove home, past the gleaming Matthews Technology Building where her name was now listed as a foundation director, past Chen's diner where Frank had insisted on throwing her a party, past all the familiar streets that now felt both the same and completely different, Maya thought about the old man crying in the alley. She'd thought she was saving him. But really they'd saved each other. And all it took was kindness offered freely, one breakfast at a time. Thanks for watching. I'll be here again tomorrow sharing another tale that speaks to the soul. Remember, your smallest act of kindness might be saving someone's life, even when you don't know it. Until next time.